All right, everyone. It must be Friday because it's another Q&A with Alan and Marshall. I'm Marshall Atkinson.
And I'm Alan Howe with Easy Way.
And how are you guys doing? I hope everyone's doing great. I know it's been a good week for me. Alan, what about you?
Been busy. I've been to Indianapolis and back. Yeah, been busy. Got stuff going on at the house. Concrete patio's been being put in the back, and so all the stuff about contractors and stuff like that. So yeah, just a busy week. I think things been a little slow first quarter, but things are starting to pick up. It looks like, and
Mhm.
some cool things happening in the industry. Hopefully, we hear that from
Yeah,
other
things are
people.
great. I think here's the thing is, I talk to a lot of people and I know some shops are slow, but I know others it's the busiest they've ever been. And from what I can tell, the ones where it's the busiest I've ever been have a really good sales process. And that's what's differentiating them from other people is the fact that they're constantly working on sales. And the ones I think that don't have the results that they want, typically what happens is the owner is dragged into doing something in the outback or whatever,
Right.
whatever is going on. The person that's normally doing sales isn't doing the sales activities, and then that creates this lull.
Right.
And I think the people who are very proactive on their sales, from what I can tell, are the ones that are really doing well, or at least they're hitting their goals, right? And so that's just from what I see from the people I've talked to. That seems to be the norm.
It is. I do think there has been a lull, though. Do I know exactly why? I don't know. Anytime, especially in some parts of the country, I think they were a little bit um, busier down south as the weather got better. Um, when here in Michigan in the north, as weather has finally broke, and it looks like our last. I don't think we're going to have snow anymore, hopefully, but you never know. It's only May.
Right.
Um, things start picking up somehow when the sun starts shining. I don't know why. But there was a lull. Even people that were busy said, we're busy, we're steady, we're not like we used to be, like we were. So there has
Well,
been a lull. And I think that is normal, regardless of what we want to call it, is whether are we in a recession or not. I think, Marshall, people are still being more, I don't want to say tighter with their cash flow, but they're watching it more and they're less likely to let go of it as quickly. And that's a normal cycle that I've seen before.
Well,
And
here's the other thing is our buying habits have changed, right? We're
sure.
moving closer to the unit of one.
Yep.
People don't order 500 shirts for an event. They're ordering 397
Well,
because those are all for the attendees. And so it's like one of these things where I think people are being more specific about what they're doing, and that's going to affect the quantities. So, from the folks that I've talked to, a lot of people are using online stores. They're using technology. They're dialing things in a little better with their customers.
yeah.
The ones that are doing a really good job of this are the ones that are thriving. And and so are we listening to our customers? Are we talking
Right.
with them about what they want and need? Are we providing the innovation and the solutions for them? I think the ones that are doing well with that are the ones that are the ones that I'm talking about, right?
Right.
And we're going to get into a lot of this stuff later, right? So
And I also think too that, things like, of course, major equipment and stuff, there's not as a sense of urgency. Most equipment manufacturers have normal lead times now. We're past the other crap that we had the last couple of years. Um, and while sales are still good on that, people are still hanging on. And I like what you said. People are their buying process has changed, and I see this in screen, and I've seen it every time we come out of a a recession or a downturn, whatever you want to call it, is where say that customer is normally orders 1,000 shirts, at a time. Well, now what they're doing is they will order only 500. They'll pay a little bit more, but we're only going to order 500 now, and they will order 500 later because they're hanging on to cash.
Yeah, well, that's true.
And that is what I'm seeing again.
They decide, you know what, we're going to have a program where we don't want any leftovers.
Absolutely.
Right. And so we're ordering exact quantities, and they've got because now we have better tools with online stores and stuff. Right. And so everybody who registers for the event goes into a thing, and we know exactly how many we need, and we're building that out better. Right. And so, and I think a lot of people right now are looking at equipment, and a lot of the equipment they're looking at is all about saving them labor and time.
Absolutely.
And because we're having such a hard time staffing, right? So if we can get a piece of equipment that I can have somebody run independently, and they don't need a whole crew of people, they can just run it by themselves. That's what people are looking at right now. So if we can get more done with less people, whether that is, embroidery, screenroom, or whatever it is, screen printing, that's what's going on. Right.
Yep.
And you see this, and like, for example, I don't know, Peter's on here, so I was just at the M&R Accelerate event last week. And
that was successful. That was awesome.
It was an incredible thing, right? And one of the things they have is they have a lot of really fancy equipment that practically runs itself.
Yeah.
Okay? And so there's less people that we need to run our things, right? Or it's using technology where these people can be doing more things while they're working, right? And there's plenty of examples of that, right? So anyway, so let's say hey to some folks, and then let's run the commercial, and let's get into the topics, because I'm chomping at the bit like a racehorse on some of this stuff, right? So Hurley's here. Good morning from Saskatchewan,
Canada.
Yeah, Peter's here. Good morning. Good to see you, Peter. Last week, Charles is here. He's watching while driving to the lake for the weekend. That's great.
Awesome.
Cindy's here. Good seeing you, Cindy. And then Dan's here. Happy Friday from Tennessee. Hey, Dan, can you send me an email with your current email address? I want to send you something. I was trying to send you something the other day, and I couldn't find it. And I think you've changed jobs on me. So Marshall@MarshallAtkinson.com. Just send me an email so I have it.
And Dan, are you back living in Tennessee? I thought you were living in Alabama.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I think he's moved jobs, right? And
okay, yeah.
So Eric is here. Good seeing you.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah. Or as we like to kid, E-Rich.
E-Rich.
Yeah,
absolutely. E-Rich in the house.
All right, cool. So hey, let's run our GSG commercial, and we want to thank them so much for sponsoring our show. They really help us out, and we really appreciate them. And we had Liz on last week in place of me while I was doing my world tour, and
incredible show.
Did a great job. So awesome. Anyway, so here is their ad.
GSG, the combination of over half a century of knowledge with industry-leading technology and the customer at the center of everything that we do. Graphic Solutions Group is a powerhouse distributor of traditional screen, sign, wide format digital printing, embroidery, and textile decorating. We are committed to our customers, providing support, educational, and consulting services. Your success is our success. We've seen these industries grow and change in our 70 years. One thing never changes: GSG's dedication providing the best products and services available. We've been around, we'll be around, from the highs and the lows, standing right here with you. GSG, the right products, right away.
Yeah, well, hey, that was great. And
Yep.
so I actually saw a whole bunch of GSG folks at that M&R event, so it was good hanging out with them. Which is kind of a good segue here to what I wanted to start off today about, which is must be present to win. Okay. So last week I attended two events. I went to Cleveland, Ohio, which is not a place I would go voluntarily. And I went there. I went there for an event called CEX, which is the Content Creators Expo. As you guys have probably seen, I create a lot of content, and this was an international event. I was hanging out with people from Sweden and Switzerland and France and the UK, and of course, the United States, Canada. It was just a really amazing event. They had a lot of excellent speakers, but more importantly, they had workshops on how to do different things and how to think differently. And it was all really about the future. And so it was a very interesting thing. I wrote a blog article about it last week. If you want to check that out, I counted 52 pages of notes.
Wow.
Between that event and the M&R Accelerate event, which is the other event I went to, which was, I got invited to it. And so thank you, Peter, for sending me the invitation. And this was at the M&R main production facility in Roselle, which is just outside of Schaumburg, Chicago area, right? And so it was a two-part, 2-day thing. And the first day was really just a tour of their plant and, let's see all the fun stuff they're doing and what they're thinking about. And that was really illuminating. And I took a lot of great ideas out of that. And then the second idea was kind of a discussion day with some of the OG guys, and then also a what if kind of a scenario. And I made a lot of connections there. It was really good. But both events, okay, don't work unless you're there.
Yep.
And the learning that you get and the networking that you get from actually going is really important. And I think a lot of times we're so busy doing whatever we do, okay, we don't go to these things. We don't attend these things because it's a waste of time. It's going to cost us money, all that kind of stuff, right? You have to go and you have to show up and you have to be present. Put your phone away, leave it in the hotel room. Don't even take it with you.
Yep.
And talk to people and meet them and have discussions and ask them questions. And this is how you learn. And let me tell you, at that M&R event, right? There was, I'm thinking of one person, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but they only came for that first day. They didn't stay for the dinner. They left. They didn't do the next day. They didn't do the networking stuff, right? I didn't see them at any of, in the bar afterwards and, all that. They didn't get the full impact of things.
Yep.
Because the power of doing these events isn't so much the content that's delivered, it's the spaces in between. It's the ability to find somebody that you've always wanted to meet and say hello, or somebody that's kind of just like you and ask them a question, or maybe somebody that you don't even know that's sitting at your table, shake their hand and ask them some questions about their business.
Yeah.
This is where the real relationships start. This is where the learning and the fun begins. I've always put that into anything that I do is creating spaces for that. I think it's really important. A lot of times when I travel, somebody's paying me to go.
Right.
And so I'm happy, that's revenue, happy for that. Last week was all on me. Right. And it's money well worth spending. And that's because of what's going to be coming out of it. Right. And so, Alan, for you, and I know we got some people chiming in here. How do you feel about that? Do you attend industry events? I know you do, but just to go with people, what do you think?
100%. And, there are some where I was just at an event for One Stop Supply a few weeks ago. Now, of course, I was speaking there. They're a dealer of mine. I was exhibiting there. But then there are things that you just want to be at. Shirt Lab coming up in July 29th. Love Shirt Lab Chicago. Love going to them because I am.
Yeah, you've only been invited for years
since the very first one, and did not go until the first one, until Fort Worth 2 years ago, and then it was Chicago I've been to, and I'm planning on being in New Orleans.
Yeah,
and you know what? Does Marshall? I have a free invite, but you know what? I'm paying my expense and everything to go there. And you know what? I never regret it because it is about being present. It is where I get to see people, talk to people, where I get to turn off my phone and listen to speakers and learn. I'm going to a Printing United event that I've been invited to. And I'm really looking, at first I haven't done a lot with Printing United in a while, but you know what? I'm actually kind of excited about it. It's something different. I'm really looking forward to that in Nashville. Yeah. And so these are the things that you have to do. Even if it's an open house, there's GPX, India is coming up. GSG is going to have a booth there. You know what? I'm going to be there for a day or two, I believe. We don't have a booth there in this one. It's usually a smaller show, but looking forward to being there.
So for folks watching, right, you guys have customers, right? So do you go to their trade shows? For example, let's say you do stuff for the construction industry. Do you go to the construction industry trade show? So you or the hospital administrator trade show or the whatever, right? Whatever it is, right? These are where those people go to learn and grow. You could exhibit, right? But also if you just go to the networking stuff, another trick, by the way, is to go to these events and to teach a class. Mm-hmm. Right. So at the CEX event, I went, one of the workshops I took was how to do merch.
Wow.
Right? And it's not like I don't know how to do that, but I'm interested in how somebody is teaching that class. What are they saying? Yep. What are they doing? And are they hitting everything? Right. And it was very interesting listening to that because, of course, I would have done it differently. but it was a good class. It was a good thing. She did a really good job, right? So it's like one of these things where you go to learn sometimes just on how to present, right?
So Marshall, on that, not to interrupt you, I want to hit that point on that class on how to do merch for something that's in CX, which is content creator, and these are people outside of the merch industry. Was there anything you're saying you would have done it different? Was there anything that they said or did you went, wow?
Yeah, one of the things that I found in her presentation, right, was what she calls the new listener starter pack, right? So you've got everybody wants to grow their audience, right? And so do you give them a starter pack of the key episodes and maybe there's a t-shirt or whatever when they subscribe, or like how do you onboard them? So a lot of these people use merch to do that, right? And so that would be an interesting way to kind of think about that for you guys watching, right? So if you do stuff with like a TikTok influencer, or maybe that's somebody that's got their own whatever, right? Are you providing these folks with something to get them excited about starting, right? And so that was kind of an interesting idea, and which I never thought of, right? So that was in one of my pages of the 52 pages that is in there, right? And so I've actually suggested this to a couple of people since then, right? So so I think that the thing here is just, you got to be listening. You got your ears have to pick up something. And this is where that new idea comes from. You don't ever know where that golden nugget is going to drop, right? Absolutely. But I can tell you where it's not going to drop. It's not going to drop when your head's down just working, right? Yep. Unless, of course, you have our show playing in the background.
And then you're allowed to. Absolutely.
All right. So we got a whole bunch of more people here join. So let's just say good morning. So Josh, good morning, Josh.
From
By the
Oklahoma.
way, Josh won our rock, paper, scissors contest and got a Stahl's Vision IQ hat press at
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth one, if I remember right. So being present to win, he won.
Yep, exactly.
Dan says now he's working remotely, living in the same area. He's on the Alabama-Tennessee border above Huntsville. He works as a separator. That's all I do for the company I cannot name in social media. Loving the work. That's good.
Awesome.
He's good. I know. Okay. Let me tell you my Dan Campbell story, right? So Dan and I used to belong to this forum way back when until Spider Guy ruined it, right? Whatever, the screen printers forum, right?
Yep.
And at the time, Dan worked for Disney, right? And so ISS Orlando show, I think it was, I wanted to meet him, and I invited him out for breakfast to meet him. Right. And so that's me being intentional because, you know, me, I want to eat a meal with a different person every meal when I do these events. And that was my breakfast for that one day, was hanging out with Dan and just meeting him in person. Right.
Absolutely.
So that's how that happened. Right. And all right. So Cindy says she's waiting on her GSG truck to bring her a delivery.
Waiting.
GSG, come on, deliver.
But Cindy, maybe you waited too long before you placed the order. Maybe you should have done it the day before.
Yeah. Jitendra says, hello, Alan and Marshall.
From India. How you doing, Jitendra?
He's now watching every week. So
he is. That's awesome.
Thank you. Mike says, good morning from California.
Michael, how you doing?
Kim says, so very true. Okay. I met Kim at the MNR Accelerate event, right?
Awesome.
She works for Team Edition, which does the in-house shirts for Foot Locker.
Cool.
Right. And so I met her and at a whim invited her to lunch right after the event. And we hung out and sat outside. I had a really nice lunch outside before. And she and her pal Ben gave me a ride to the airport.
Well, that worked.
Thank you so much, Kim, for joining us today. I love that you took action. You know, I'm an action guy that took action to watch our show. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim. Hopefully next show, if you see me, I'd love to meet you.
I gave her one of my idea generator decks. I'm curious if she's used it yet. Yeah. Peter says, so glad you're able to join us. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Brian says the education trade shows bring us great customers. We give away gift cards and collect contact info for follow-up.
Perfect.
Dan remembers that breakfast. Great. Mike says attending Shirt Lab in Portland was a game changer. I met Allie, Marge, Keith, and Megan, and since we've grown into a force of success. So go to New Orleans. That's right.
I would agree.
And by the way, Mike invited Tom and I out, and we all went and had a beer at what was the name of that place? The Sasquatch Pub, or the Lone Sasquatch. I don't know, some kind of crazy bar name. And that's where I met Mike. And he told us the story about how he used to own the URL tshirts.com and he sold it. He told us that whole story. So it was really cool. Cindy says they only make GSG truck delivers on Wednesday and Fridays.
Got it.
Kim says it was amazing. Yep. Bringing Maggie, the reigning Shirt Lab Rock, Paper, Scissors champion for Chicago and Orleans for Shirt Lab. That's awesome. You know, I was asking her about if she was going to defend her title. So that's good. Kim says, thank you both. It morphed into her twice weekly sprint. That's right. And then, oh yes, cool bar, right? All right, so must be present to win. So here's your challenge, right? Right now, if you're watching, I want you to think about some customer category that you have. And I want you to think about, there's an event that's going to be later this year, right? Can you research that now and figure out where you might want to go so you can network and meet people? even if you go by yourself, I know a lot of people don't like to travel by themselves because they feel weird because they don't know anybody. That's the whole point.
Yep.
Is to go and just show up. And let me tell you, just stick out your hand and say, hey, I'm, whatever your name is, nice to meet you. What do you do? How, what's working for you, right? Whatever. You guys should be doing that at least once a year, right? It'd be awesome if you did it at Shirt Lab, right? But you should be doing it wherever, right? And I really think that would make a huge difference in your business. But you have to be open to the opportunity, and then you have to be thinking about the action steps that you want to do after that.
Yep.
So
I think, sometimes local chamber meetings are incredible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to another state. You're exactly right.
I knew a client that he was in California, and he would go to the pizza convention every year. And my father owned
And have a
shop
salad
on there and have a steak. But he went there because he had a pizza shop. I guess this thing is massive. He goes, yeah, I went there because I was there just meeting people, handing out cards, talking to people, what they do. And that was a big part of his business.
Yeah. So it's always who you know, right?
Yep.
And get involved. And I know I've talked to so many people over the years who says, yeah, our Chamber of Commerce sucks. I go, okay, well, guess what? You could do something about that.
Yeah.
Right. You could be the ringleader. You could do something new. You could just do a little business group, right?
Yep.
With just the businesses on your street, right? That's where you start, right? And do something better, right? And anyway, so must be present to win. Start trying to think about that and how you can incorporate that idea into your business, right? So Brian says, where in New Orleans is Shirt Lab trying to get hotel rooms, bringing the family? We have a hotel room block. We're almost finished with the website, Brian. If you want, let me write this down. I will email you the block, Brian. We actually have a hotel block, and that is really affordable rooms. So.
Cool.
And New Orleans can get really pricey. So this is,
yes,
and our hotel is across the street from our event. So there, you
Perfect.
don't even need a car, right? So, and it's right down where everything is. So we've spent a lot of time and effort trying to make this right. So, but we'll have everything up really soon. We've been really trying to get things squared away, and we're almost there. So, thanks, Brian. Okay, so next is what? Oh yeah, innovation, game changers. Okay, so last week at M&R, right, I got to witness a lot of their new innovations. By the way, I saw a preview of their new Gauntlet 4. It looks pretty amazing, and they didn't let you take pictures. But we got to play around with the Polaris, their DTG printer, and they had the digital squeegee up and cranking. But some of the stuff that they're doing isn't that really super expensive technology. There's two things I thought were really amazing. Okay. One was the fact that on the Abscomatic printer, folder bagger thing,
right,
they now have technology where you can hook up a label printer and custom make labels for each shirt. Okay?
Wow.
So one of the things I was talking to Bill Christensen, was the one who was giving me the tour, right, was, hey, so you've got a school you're doing some shirts for. You could upload the CSV file, and each kid's name could be named Billy Smith, small, labeled onto the folded poly bag shirt, which completely eliminates where's my shirt problem.
Yep.
Okay. And he said, yes, that's true. You could do that. Right. So I thought this would be an amazing thing to save time and effort, because it isn't somebody hand doing that. It's just, we're going to do all the smalls. We're going to do all the mediums. And then that's the CSV file that gets uploaded, and boom, 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 they get pumped out at, $500 or $600 an hour being bagged with that machine. Right. So that would be a really cool thing to do. Right. the other thing that I thought was really cool was they were showing off the Passport, which is the robot that unloads the shirts.
Right.
But next to it was the thing that caught my eye, which is what they're calling the optical. Peter, put it in here what the real name is because I forgot. But they had an optical scanner, right? So the idea here is that you would approve the design, okay, and then that gets logged in with a photo to the device. And then if there's anything wrong with the design, let's say we run out of ink in one of the screens, an alarm would go off that says, hey, this isn't printed correctly. So now your quality control isn't at the mercy of somebody who isn't paying attention, okay? It's using optical scanning to say that we're screen printing this correctly. A visual recognition or system or something like that. I can't remember the right word. So please, and I don't think it's for sale yet. They were just showing it off. So I think it was, I really love that. I really love that. And I know that a lot of people struggle with that all the time. And it looked like you could set it up on any press. So that's something that I think could be a game changer for a lot of people.
So, and this was before it went onto the dryer, correct?
Before it went onto the dryer.
So now, because usually someone's checking it at the end of the dryer and
somebody's checking it in the dryer. So before you misprint 20 shirts, right? Because you just ran out of ink and, and then the guy you got working doing pulling, right? What they're doing is they're talking about how, the Suns got their ass handed to them by the Nuggets last night, right? So they're talking about that game. They're not paying attention to what's going on because that's real life, okay? Yep. Now you got a way that it's checking, okay? I thought that was really cool. So
the fact that this technology is coming into the printed textile is amazing because this technology has been around in screen print for medical device and stuff like that and used all the time.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's coming into printed apparel is amazing and so cool.
Yeah. Kim says vision quality recognition control won't be the final name. And then Peter says draft name Passport Visual Quality Recognition System. There you go. So
PVQRS.
Yeah. So I thought it was really cool. They also have a new auto squeegee cleaner, which was, a dishwasher for your squeegees. That was really cool. And of course, the big expensive stuff was always cool. We could talk about that forever. But, I really enjoyed watching they had a demo with Mike Beckman where they were using Midjourney to create a piece of artwork and then print that with the Polaris DTG system. So you're going from an idea that didn't exist to a printed shirt in under 10 minutes. And
let's talk about innovation with Mike Beckman.
Yeah, we invented high density, right?
Exactly.
So,
we talk about, Marshall, you talked about these guys that, a lot of OGs, but let's talk about innovation. Mike Beckman, who invented, I remember when high density first came out, Mike Beckman was the man on it. And he's the one that knew it. And now high density is commonplace.
Yeah. Well, remember when we were flooded with fake Levi leather patches.
Yep.
And anything that remotely looked like that was all the rage, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was. And, so that's really kind of cool.
And innovation isn't inventing something, but making something better. So he didn't invent like an expandable ink. There was Expantex and then puff ink and stuff like that. But now to have it high density, which brought into your specialty market, that's all Mike Beckman. And the fact now that he is doing stuff with Midjourney, how cool is that?
Yeah, it was cool.
Keep innovating. Yeah. And so remember, my thing is some of these things that have been commonplace that we don't even think of, it was the new thing and it was innovated. Yeah. So we love to see technology and remember these innovations because it might just be for some of us just the norm now and we forget it.
And let's not forget the funniest person in the whole industry, Jeff McHugh, right?
Yes. One of the smartest.
His whole just talking with that guy is like listen to a stand-up comedian,
Unreal.
So he invented the computer to screen system. If you don't know who Jeff McHugh is, that's where all that came from. It came from his brain.
Yep.
right? And so, so why are we talking about this? Is because this industry is always innovating. And Alan, do you still have that shirt? You were showing me a shirt from Atlantic City, right?
Yep.
What is that? So people who can't
So
really see,
this is the
what are we
drawing.
looking at?
This is the drawing and patent number for the very first dual rotary manual press. In 1967, it was filed, in 69 awarded. And we're not talking the first manual press. We're talking the first dual rotary, where the screens and the pallets, the screen heads and the pallets, rotate independently. To us, we're going, well, they all do that now. And that was done by Michael Vastiolone, the founder of Vastec International. And you know what? It's so amazing that Vastec is still doing incredible stuff as a manufacturer. But, somebody had to invent that. Michael Vastiolone also invented the very first basic jacket hold down, the hold down dual.
The jacket clamp.
The jacket clamp, yeah.
2-ply jackets. What a pain in the ass.
For 2-ply jackets and 2-ply fabrics and stuff back at the same time. Yeah. And this is innovation. Did he invent a manual press? No, he made it better. And these are things that are still, it's not even an afterthought, because it's just, this is how we do it.
Right. So I was in a shop.
How about I got another one? How about Joe Clark and M&R when they came out with revolver mode on there? And revolver mode was game changing at the time. And
it's kind of overused a little bit.
It's become overused, but now, that's every machine has some, feature like that on it now.
Right.
But that was an M&R innovation that just was game changing.
Right. And let me tell you, there's so many new things. There's new fabrics, there's new consumables, ink, chemical formulations, whatever, right? Art. We're constantly pushing it, right? And we always will. This is why you go to a trade show. This is why you talk with companies. This is why, there was this cartoon that I remember, and it was an Indian, and it had a tribal council in a teepee, right? And the caption was, "Not right now. Can't you see we're busy?" Right? And then outside was the Gatling gun, right?
Yep.
And so it was like, I think a lot of times we're too busy to pay attention to this stuff, but there's always something that's just right out there that can maybe make your life better. And this could be software. This could be a piece of equipment. This could be a workflow. This could be a different type of garment. This could be a different way to sell. There's a million things here, right? Well, and what we need more than anything is paying attention and asking what if. And here's where it starts, is just in your shop thinking, why do we do it this way?
Yep.
Why are we doing it this way? And if you're comfortable with asking that question, because a lot of times somebody made a decision 5 or 10 years ago, and that's why you use that whatever, right? That doesn't mean it could be the best thing and you're doing it perfect, right? But is there a better way right now to do whatever that is that saves time or money, or even do we need to even do that? Right? So I was just talking earlier today with one of my coaching clients, because they're going to start a process mapping thing for their shop, right? They're looking at something. And I'm like, okay, the reason why you do that is, let's say there's 20 steps in the thing. Mm-hmm. You get it down to 15. Can we take 5 steps out of it? Or you know what? Can we just eliminate it altogether?
Sure.
Right. And here's a perfect example. Here's a segue, Alan, for what we want to talk about on our pulse today, right?
Absolutely.
So go to GSG.com. We want to show you eliminating some. Let me get it queued up here.
Well, and this is something last week Liz and I talked about quite a bit. The color reel.
The color reel, right?
Yeah.
So what this is we're dyeing the thread on the embroidery machine. So instead of changing your cones of thread out, you're just dyeing the thread as it's being sewn. You can go from red to blue to green to whatever. It dyes the thread.
To any
right?
PMS color. And I'm like, wow, totally incredible.
Right. So do you have to spend money for this? Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. But consider, how your workflow is and what you're doing. And if you want to know, is this something you should get into, start looking at how many different cones of thread you buy, how your changeover, how you stop to put new cones of thread on your machines, get all that threaded up and everything. Will this make a difference in your shop? Maybe. I don't know. Depends on you. Right. And
to me, it's like custom matching ink for screen printing. You know what? You can get a custom match. You can try to do it. How long does it take you to do it? And how much do you have left over? When you have to buy a cone of thread, that is something you're only doing, a few hundred shirts, and that leftover thread cone is going to be there forever, and it's going to get old, and you can't use it.
Right.
And this prevents that.
Yeah. So anyway, go to their Pulse magazine, which is the banner right at the top at gogsg.com, and check out their color reel. They don't have pricing here because, it's kind of an expensive thing. So you're going to have to call, but we wanted to highlight that. And I know last week, if you missed it, you guys were talking about this a little bit. So go back and watch Liz's episode, and then you can hear more all about it.
Liz Beavers talked about it. We talked about everything. And color reel, while GSG is a big ZSK embroidery dealer, color reel is available for all if it's on all machines. So give them a call.
Mm-hmm. Great. All right. So next topic. Are you sending? Wait, hold on. Are you sending me mind waves as to what we're talking about? No. The reason you can't is because
I'm not telepathic. We try to. Come on, Marshall. You know what I'm thinking.
Unless, of course, you're a twin. I think twins are telepathic.
They are some. Yeah.
My wife is a twin. Her twin sister lives in our same neighborhood. They think.
Yep.
I don't know. There's got something, right? So, and I have younger brothers that are twins, and I'm familiar with the whole twin telepathy thing. But anyway, so nobody is telepathic. You have to say stuff to your customers, to your employees, to your vendors, right?
Yep.
Nobody can read your mind. You have to get it out of your head and into theirs, right? And the reason I'm bringing this up is I think sometimes we think that somebody knows what you're talking about or what you're thinking because it's just obvious. They just know, right? They don't. They're not obvious. It's not obvious. They don't know. You're going to have to say it, and you're going to have to repeat it like 6 times, okay?
Yeah.
Nobody knows what to do. No, everybody's confused. And also, the problem we also have is there's a lot of noise, and people are distracted. You have to make it clear and concise about what the outcome that you want or the expectations that you want. What is the next step? That's what you should be talking about and demonstrating and showing to people, regardless of who they are, because guess what? Nobody is telepathic, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any experience with this, Alan? Got a story?
And from two sides. One, I assume what my client wants and what he needs, and that's assumptions are bad.
Yeah.
Assumption makes an ass out of you and me, and that never goes well. Also, from the other side, I have sales goals in a direction that I think as the manager of an area we need to go. Company may have another one. If they don't tell me, I can't get on that page if I don't know what the page is. Now, if I disagree with something and don't talk with them, that's bad on me because they don't know what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
So it happens always. You have to know, conversation is with your client. Can never ask too many questions. Make sure you're on the same page and make sure it's exactly what they're looking for. Again, I call it in sales, I call it pain points. What are their pain points? If their pain point is they're buying too many, they're having trouble breaking into a market, and because their garment selection is not there, well, you have another garment, a new source for a better garment. Well, this might be their solution.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to just sell them going, no, I can do a better print job, that's not helping their problem.
Yeah.
They need a better fashion.
So many people think that they know what's going on. And I'll give you an example, right? So we design something for a client and we send it to the client for approval. There's an art approval, right? And we want it back by a certain day, but we don't get the answer. Okay.
No.
So what's going on with them? When we start bitching and moaning about the client, right? But then when you call them, you realize that they never got the email because you spelled their name wrong, or it went to their spam filter or whatever, right? So we should be following up to find out what happened, right? Nobody is telepathic. They don't know, right? So instead of sitting there thinking, gosh, these people, there's something wrong with them or whatever, just talk to them as a human being, right? And solve that thing, right? And we think that people know things, but they don't. Okay. And,
absolutely.
And there's plenty of instances. I would love it if you're watching, if there's any sort of story that you could, in a couple of sentences, throw in there about maybe how you've learned, or there was something that happened with a customer or with an employee or a vendor, and this happens all the time. For example, you're out having a meal somewhere in a restaurant, right? You should let them know that your meal wasn't satisfactory, because there's no way that they're going to make that change in the kitchen unless they know that you're not happy.
Right. Exactly.
So there's a great book, by the way, called Hug Your Haters by Jay Baer, right? Which is all about people complaining can be the best thing for your company ever, because people complaining, that signifies that they still love you.
Yeah.
When they complain. If they're not complaining, what they're doing is, and something happens, is they're just going somewhere else and you'll never know.
Yep, absolutely.
So complaining gives you the opportunity to make it right. So that's why you want to hug your haters, right? And but this means that you have to find out what that is. Agreed. So are you sending them a survey after the order? Are you calling them up on the phone? Are you asking them what's wrong, or how can I serve you better? Right. This is really important. It's good stuff. And you give them an opportunity, right? And after, for example, after every shirt lab, we always send a survey out. And one of the things that we do is we put add your favorite song to our playlist, kind of a thing, which is why we have almost 900 songs on that playlist. It's insane, the amount of crazy music that's on there. And what's funny is the last couple of days I had to go up to Flagstaff to move my son back home for the summer because he's done with his freshman year of college. And we listened to that Shirt Lab soundtrack the whole way up and the whole way back, because you can't guess the next song,
and someone who's done that survey, and I remember you called me and said, what's your favorite song? I didn't put anything. You called me on it. That was the hardest thing for me to do, because I listen to stuff all the time and
find just whatever you like right now.
Yeah, it's what it was the song that I was listening to over and over at that time. It wasn't new, and it was, I think, a group not a lot of people knew. It was a song by Switchfoot.
Yeah. Right. So that all goes in there, right? And then some people actually give us 2 or 3 songs, right? I've had people give us like 10.
Yeah,
they're all in there, right? And so anyway, so that's kind of a fun thing. But the point here is that you need to be listening, right? The reason why we're having it in New Orleans this year is because we asked, where should we have it? And that was the leading vote getter, right? So that's why we're having it in New Orleans, right? And so anyway, we want to know this information so we can do something with it. And that's the important thing here. And so whether you're talking with your supply chain, I know, like, Alan, you would appreciate if somebody's an easy way customer, if they told you they didn't like something, you
Absolutely.
could do something about it, right? Instead of just complaining and switching to another product, it gives you the opportunity to make it right, correct?
That's the hardest thing, especially as we work through dealers, where all of a sudden I realize business has gone away and I had no idea about it. Why did they leave? What happened? And why didn't you let me know?
Yeah,
Whether
yeah.
it's the client or the dealer. So,
I'll tell you who does a really good job of this is Peter Walsh, and hopefully he's still
oh yeah,
on here, because you'll see some comment about M&R on Facebook, and then about, I don't know, an hour or so later, here's Peter's response to that, and it's
absolutely.
all super professional about, things, and here's the right way of handling it, and you should call here, or we're gonna do something, or whatever it is.
Yep.
He does a really good job of that, and but he's listening, and that's what's important, is that you're getting that feedback and you're doing something with it, right?
And it's not just not to minimize anybody. You're talking to the number 2 guy right there at
Right. Yeah.
at M&R also. So
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, hey, we want to wrap up today with, guess what? My new thing,
Midjourney.
which is the new Midjourney newsletter. Okay, so I want to give a shout out right now to Images Magazine. I sent them a press release yesterday about it, and guess what? It's already up on their website.
Perfect.
So this is my new project, which is creating a Midjourney newsletter for the print industry. And the idea here is that if you're a creative professional and you're using Midjourney, what I want to do is create like a little mini community where we're all sharing what's working or how to do it or what's the best practice tips and prompts and some little thing you learn somewhere. It's an amazing tool, but it doesn't really get you where you want to go. You're going to have to manipulate the image. You're going to have to do something to it. It's really hard to get exactly in your mind's eye what you want. So what are the prompts to use? And I think if we're all sharing that experience, then we can come out better with it. And so I've created a new kind of platform, and I'm so happy that Images, I know that all the other people will do it also. And so this really just launched yesterday. We've already got almost 30 people signed up, which is really great for just a one-day thing.
Absolutely.
Here's where you can go. So this is I'm using ConvertKit, by the way. So that's the email prompt is right up there, atkinson-consulting.ck.page/products/midjourney/elevate/print.creativity, right? So just sign up, and it's monthly, $12 a month. If you want a yearly subscription, it gives you a little break. It's about a 40% or 44% discount. But the idea here is that we're all in this together. And so we really want to find out how you're using the tool and what you're doing. And I've already got people sending me ideas and things. And I think this is going to be really a lot of fun. For example, I designed this chimpanzee playing the electric guitar. How do you do that? How do you get the results that you want, right? And what can you do with it? And of course, we're going to be showing how to separate that, how to digitally print that, how to add an underbase or puff print, or how to do some different things. How do you get this to work for other substrates, or use it? How do you create textures that you can use? There's a million things we're going to get into, and some that I can't even predict, because what we want to do is get the people that are actually using the tool to help us create the newsletter so we can all grow together. So that's what's really going to be fun with this, is building a little Midjourney creative professional community for the newsletter, right? And so I've already built the first edition, the number 1 that's going to come out. The first one's going to come out on May the 29th. And we'll be coming out weekly, every single Monday and I'm already building the second one right now. I was working on that earlier today. So we'd love everybody here to sign up, especially you print professionals. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, that's that, right? So if you guys have any questions or anything, just drop it in the comments. You know what you do is put that in the comment real quick.
It'll be good.
Whoop. So here's the link if you want to copy and paste that. So anyway, what do you think about this, Alan? Midjourney. Have you played around with it at all?
I have not played around with it.
Does it scare you? Let me ask you, does AI scare you?
AI doesn't scare me. Discord scares me a little bit. But
why does Discord scare you?
Something from off topic here. We'll talk later. Yeah. Anyway, so Discord's been around for a while. I just basically, Marshall, I just need to talk to you more about it and not be fearful of it.
So I was at that blog article I mentioned earlier. I included this story in that blog article, which is I was at that CEX event. I was actually in a bar hanging out with, because I like bars.
Sure.
Hanging out with a bunch of folks, and somebody was talking about they're a content creator and they were really scared of Chat GPT and Midjourney and all these tools that are coming out because they feel like they were going to be replaced.
Yeah, no,
and so the comment from this one person was, all right, you're looking at this backwards. And this is their quote, and they probably said it better, but they said, if it scares you, then it's meant for you.
Exactly. I read your blog post on it, and I love that.
Yeah, and so this is the tool. So if you're a writer, you should be using ChatGPT. If you're a designer, you should be using Midjourney. And of course, I've signed up for the Adobe platform also, which is called Firefly. I'm in their beta line waiting to get in very impatiently because I want to be playing with that too, right? And so I want to know and learn how to use these tools because that's going to make me more effective in what I do, right?
So here, for me, I have to learn to do it because I am not, if everybody's heard this before, my weakest part is art. I am not an artist. I've never been a graphic artist.
Well, that's why it's for you. Now
exactly.
you can be designing.
As soon as I saw that, the Rock Monkey thing, I had an idea for a graphic that normally I would call, I don't know, my friend Marshall, and he would design something for me on there. And I'm going, wait, I don't have to, I need to have, and I was thinking, I wrote it down, have Marshall design this. And I'm going, I just need to do it myself.
Well, what's cool here though is, you can put your prompts in and maybe you're not going to get the result that you want. So what are the prompts? I've started a spreadsheet for prompt words and I'm like over 200 right now. And just different words I've been like playing around with. Right. And so it's and then also, how are you using the file? That's kind of what the newsletter is also about. Right. It's not just how to get the image. It's like, what's next? So how do we separate that? For example, that monkey design there. How do we separate that for screen printing?
Yep.
Right. So there's going to be, here's how you do it. Right. And here's different thinking about it. Right. How do we change the color? How do we do different things? How do we, whatever, right? That's going to make it how do we make it work for stickers?
Yeah.
So what we want to be thinking about here is how we're doing stuff and we're sharing best practices. And this is, I think, going to allow people to use the tool better. And of course, right now it doesn't do type. The word rock monkey was added later, right? And so like for you, you're not a designer, right? And so like what would you be thinking about that, or how would you do that, right? And so this is for all the newsletters for all levels, right? But there's going to be advanced stuff. There's going to be basic stuff. There's going to be also links for different things that you can go research and thinking. And I don't know, it's going to be a lot of fun, right? So, and here's the thing is, I don't know where it's going to go because it's going to be community based and it's based on what you guys tell me, right? And so that's how we're going to be creating the content, was to be based on feedback, because I'm listening right now. And that's why I've been posting in Facebook. That's why I've been doing some things. I want to see what people are interested in, because I think it makes me a little better at this, right? And
absolutely.
And you can't be scared.
Well, and that's the thing. If it frightens me, then I probably need it. And like I said, I already know I need it, because I have a side project that I'm doing. No, it's not a podcast, but I do voiceover work, so I want to create a page for that. And I need a good graphic on it to set myself apart. And that gave me an idea. Did I jot it down? I thought I need, and I'm thinking as during the show going, I need to talk to Marshall to create this, and he's going to say, just sign up and do it yourself.
No, I'll create it for you.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? I need to know how to do it, so I'm not dependent on, my friends, which are great to do. I know you would do it, but you know what? If we're here telling other people to do it, then I need to. I don't create as much content as you do, but I do. I'm not a writer or a journalist by trade. ChatGPT would be a great thing for me to have a small blurb or something for content.
And there's so many great tools out there,
or just to get an idea of how to word it and stuff. So yeah.
Well, you can also upload an article, and you could ask ChatGPT, okay, read this article and scan it. What should I have included that I didn't?
Ooh, interesting.
You could also say, hey, here's my LinkedIn profile. Write me a bio that's under 200 words.
Sure.
Right. You could also, there's a million things, right? And so Midjourney, right? It's not going to create a logo, right? It can create logo looking things. It doesn't do type well, right? So, but maybe you can create textures. You can create kind of the logo format. This is kind of how I want them to look. I want to have a microphone, right? Maybe you could play around with what the microphone looks like, right? There's all types of really some cool things that it can generate that we could use. So how do we do that, right? And I think that's kind of where the thing's going to be with this. And it's going to be lots of fun. So anyway, we're over time. So we're going to wrap up here. And by the way, Cindy left to go to lunch. So we know the show's over because Cindy left. So
she's she's always on schedule.
So Alan, you got big plans this weekend?
I have no big plans this weekend. Last weekend I ended up I actually took some time. I went fishing. Took my nephew Miguel, who you've met on here before. He sometimes is on here as Puff Carrot. He has never been fishing, and we got pictures. He caught his first largemouth bass.
That's great.
Caught 5 of them. It was fun. Now, when I'm teaching people to fish, it is weird because I think God gives me grace, and I'm pretty good. Some people think I'm better than I am, but no, it always happens when I am showing somebody on their first time how to fish artificial. It seems like that first and second cast, man, it is a nice bite. And that's what happened. So I'm showing them on casting and stuff, and I like that. I said, you're just working it like this. I go, hold on. And I set the hook, and it's a 2-pound bass. He goes, already? I go, that's how we roll.
Yeah, that's great. That's so awesome.
But, it was a good time. I really have no plans this weekend. I do have a very busy 2 weeks coming up where next week I have to be in. I have a trial in Coldwater, Ohio. So I got to leave Monday. I'm there Tuesday. I come back Wednesday. I fly to Huntsville, Alabama on Thursday night. I'm there on some family stuff. I come back Sunday or Monday. I think I'm going to change it to Sunday night. And I'm going to have to go to Chicago. So
why don't you just fly into Chicago?
You know what? And I'm thinking of doing that. So
why go to Michigan and then go to Chicago? Just fly to Chicago.
Yeah, and I probably should. Then I have to rent a car though too. So, but yeah.
Well, then you can fly home from Chicago.
Exactly. So, all these things part of our, of our schedule when we're doing things. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. All right. Well, hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're watching this as a replay, because I know a lot of you guys do, please leave a message or a question or something so we know that you were there. So
Absolutely.
Anyway, thanks.
Hey, you know what? We
have a
forgot
good
to say,
weekend.
don't forget, share this with everybody who's
Yes.
watching. Make sure you share it. And you know what? We have more people on LinkedIn every week. Make sure you follow Marshall and I on LinkedIn too.
Yeah. I found a really cool tool that LinkedIn allows you to look at your LinkedIn post analytics. I didn't even know you could do that till the other day. I learned that at the CEX conference I was at.
Well, you need to share that with me then.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll do that. Maybe we'll have a thing next week on the show about it. How about that?
That'll be cool.
All right, everyone. You guys have a great weekend. Talk to you later.
Uh-huh.
Bye.